Dear Diary, yes, I know you're actually a blog, but starting posts with the words Dear Diary makes me feel classy, and blog knows I don't get to feel like that very often. Do you think I could get the phrase blog knows to catch on? Nah, probably not. Sorry, that was a tangent and a half, wasn't it? I'll start over. Dear Diary, please remind me to never date an air sign again. Ever. If you could arrange for all the Aquariuses, Geminis, and Libras to somehow disappear off the face of the earth, that'd be great. Not sure if that's within your capabilities, though, being a blog, so I'll settle for a big red warning popping up on my iPhone every time an air sign tries to talk to me. It really would help. I'm not exaggerating here. The last 5 dates I've been on were all with air signs, and they were all disasters. First up, Tiffany. Name changed to protect the innocent being me, not her. She was over an hour late to the pizza place we'd chosen because it was apparently close to her flat, so why was she so late? And she was dressed entirely in purple. Now, don't get me wrong, I have no issues with the colour purple, usually, and I probably wouldn't have noticed it was the only colour she had on if her opening line as soon as she sat down hadn't been, "I'm wearing all purple today. Even my thong is purple." Who leads with that on a first date? Obviously, I couldn't help myself. I immediately got a vivid picture in my head of her purple thong. It was weirdly sexy. We ended the dinner portion of the date right then and there and went back to hers for possibly the filthiest sex I've ever had. All night long. I'm joking. Clearly. Tiffany's thong didn't do anything for me. Especially not when I caught a glimpse of it later on in the evening. It looked withered, like day-old red cabbage left out in the sun. Maybe we could have salvaged the day even after that, but for some reason she was one of those people who base their entire lives around their star sign. Libra, in her case. She's a lawyer. Does she wear purple to work, I wonder? Because Libras are all about balance, order, and justice. She has a cat and a dog in a London flat. How? And she gleefully shouted, "One of each! I couldn't choose," straight after revealing this, startling our waiter so badly his fake Italian accent abandoned him and he never got it back. He was quite fit, though. I might go back and see if he's single, but not if he's an air sign. You really don't need to know any of the million other things she told me about herself that night. Somehow managing not to ask me any questions in return. Just a barrage of personal details and very loud chewing. I won't be requesting a second date. Well, maybe if the waiter is there. What can I say? Shallow is my middle name, which is a big improvement on my actual middle name. Thanks, Mum and Dad. Dates 2 and 3 have kind of blurred into one. There's a very good reason for that. The dates were at the exact same time and in the same place. I don't want to go into it, in all honesty. Nowhere on my dating profile does it remotely suggest I am up for being double teamed by a pair of elderly gentlemen in the back of a van. That was their idea, offered up right off the bat, and they didn't seem very open to compromising on this glorious, sordid vision. To add to this lovely bit of catfishing, they were both Geminis. In fact, they were twins. I literally couldn't stop shuddering for the next 24 hours. My fourth consecutive air sign date, maybe I should call them encounters instead, was with an Aquarius, Susie. This one definitely doesn't deserve to be referred to as a date. Susie was a diligent and rather creepy researcher who found out where I work, turned up mid-shift to surprise me, but approached the wrong person, and is now engaged to my hotter colleague, Ben. She moves fast, that Susie, as does Ben. It's a match made in heaven, or possibly the other place. Ben looks nothing like me, by the way, but he does look scarily similar to the fifth and final date in this saga, Fernando. Yes, I did have "Can You Hear the Drums, Fernando" going round and round my head all day leading up to our date. Who doesn't love a bit of ABBA? Actually, quite a few people, mostly straight men, but shush, and I digress. By this time, I was starting to get wise to the trickery of air signs, so I breathed a sigh of relief when I saw Fernando was a Pisces. Pisces come with their own baggage, otherwise known as Pisces problems, of course, but at least he wasn't another air sign. He arrived perfectly on time and looked fantastic. Imagine the kind of guy you normally see on Abercrombie and Fitch bags. He was wearing a shirt, but my vivid imagination means he might as well not have bothered. Out of my league, but not threateningly so. "I had a dream about you," he said, in a fairly thick Hispanic accent, which was something of a turn-on, once we'd sat down and been handed our menus. It wasn't the same restaurant I went to with Tiffany, don't worry, so no hot waiter. It's probably for the best. His hotness, combined with Fernando's, might have been too much for me to handle. "A dream?" I asked, doing a terrible impression of coy shyness and thinking, typical Pisces. "Yeah, you were on your knees, wearing a corset, and you kept begging me to slap you with my..." Whoa. Hold on. This is not water sign behaviour. Well, maybe Scorpio behaviour. Thankfully, not that I am averse to wearing corsets in people's wet dreams. Go for it. Our waitress popped back just as he was about to finish his sentence and took our orders. Once she'd retreated out of earshot, he added, "She was there too, in my dream, and her sister." I nearly choked on the complimentary tap water. "Why are you telling me this?" I managed to sputter. "You're bi," came the answer. And, if anything, this bit of the conversation and where I knew he was headed with it was making me more uncomfortable than the content of his dreams. "So you came here for a threesome, right?" Of course. Because that's all bisexuals want. We're not interested unless there are as many sweating bodies writhing around on top of each other as possible. What gave you that impression? I asked him, as calmly as I could. I have dated loads of bisexuals. Here we go. They always want an orgy sooner or later. Bit of a sweeping statement, I suggested. Not in my experience. Anyway, it's my birthday. Let's have a bit of fun, yeah? Alarm bells were ringing. The date that day was the 18th of February. This guy wasn't a Pisces at all. He was an Aquarius, another air sign. To avoid embarrassing myself by shouting, "You told me you were a Pisces, you liar!" or alternatively hitting him, whichever happened first, I told him I was going to the toilet, climbed out of the window like I was in a dodgy sitcom, and scarpered. Looking back, I could see him leaning very close to our waitress with his hand on the small of her back. So maybe he got his birthday threesome in the end after all, if she had a sister. But not with me. No more air signs. Ever. Until I find a really fit one, and then I'll probably change my mind. I'm such a typical Gemini that way.